Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. I, Professor Parag Rahul, on behalf of Anjuman Islam's Kalsikar Technical Campus, welcomes each and every one of you. Under the Institutional Innovation Council of AIKTC, we always invite inspiring people to share their stories and interact with our students. Today, we have one such personality with us who is young, talented, and passionate about his startup. We welcome you, Mr. Mayuresh Lotlikar. Uh, I also like to welcome Dr. Abdul Razak Khonurogi, Director AIKTC. Also like to welcome Dr. Mujib Tamboli, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Firoz Khan, Convener of IIC, Deans and HODs of respective schools and departments. But before we start today's session, as a part of tradition of AIKTC, let us begin the session by listening verses of Holy Quran by Shabil. Over to you, Shabil.
जी सर. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I seek refuge with Allah, with accursed shaitan. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most beneficial. والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير. So its translation is, by the racers painting, and the producers of sparks when striking, and the chargers at dawn, stirring up thereby clouds of dust, arriving thereby in the center collectively. Indeed, mankind to his Lord is ungrateful, and indeed he is to that witness, and indeed he is in love of wealth and intense. But does he not know that when the contents of the graves are scattered, and that within the breast is obtained, indeed their Lord with them that day is fully aware. Sadaqallahul Azim.
Thank you, Shabil. Now I request Dr. Abdul Razak Khonurogi, Director AIKTC, to deliver the opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Parag, Dr. Firoz, Dr. Mujib Tambole, and all deans, HODs, faculty members who are attending this, and even the most interested students who are basically attending this motivational session by a motivated personality who has already proved by setting his venture, very interesting, you and we works, So it is very interesting startup of Mr. Mayuresh Lotlikar. And I'm also personally interested to know about all those intricacies. What did he go through to make it a successful venture? So these kind of activities in the morning also, I expressed my views that Institutions Innovation Council has been set up under the auspices of MHRD, which was earlier MHRD, now it's Ministry of Education, and another ministry called Ministry of Innovation Council. Now, in order to promote, in order to motivate, guide, support, fund the young minds, especially who are very keen to take up the startup business or entrepreneurial endeavor. So such candidates are to be properly guided, properly supported. That is what the motto of Government of India. Now, there are a number of ways of doing this, and one of the ways is to have this Institute Innovation Council, where a systematic approach has been put forward. So under the guidance of ministry, there is a calendar defined, and all these calendar activities, choices are given, what are expected to be conducted, and based on conducting various activities, we get certain points, and then ultimately leading to some recognition even at the institution level. But more than institution getting recognition, rewards in terms of stars or pointers, now for us, what is important is whether it can help our students' fraternity who are actually, struggling, not only our institute, but many institution students are struggling in terms of finding job. Now, the jobs are scarcity, and at the same time, the challenge is to create jobs. So both are, equally challenging. So at least those candidates who are not bent their mind towards working under someone. So what is important for them is to take up some, venture using which they can create jobs. And for creating jobs, it is not just, a very easy, path to move on, but there are a lot of challenges, lot of risks are to be taken. But without challenges, without struggle, without taking risk, you will never become stronger. Okay. It is already known that a person who is always living on a soft bed and he never placed his foot without that soft, slippers or so. But if such a person is asked to walk just on a floor having smooth tiles, there also he feels like thorns. He feels some kind of pain. So because he is never allowed to struggle, he is never allowed to put his say empty foot on ground. So therefore, naturally, everything will become a painful activity. So therefore, everybody is expected to struggle, whether to get a job or to create jobs by being the entrepreneurs. So struggling is a part of our life. No matter whether you struggle in the beginning of your life or struggle in the later part of your life. So those who struggle in the beginning, they are treated to be the wise persons, and that is right decision, because in the initial part of our life, we are strong both physically, mentally, emotionally, and we are likely to get a lot of support from even external sources, and that time struggling has a meaning. The moment when we struggle in this initial part, very popularly said that if you struggle up to 30, then rest of life you can really remain comfortable. But if you remain comfortable till 30, the whole life is to struggle, and struggling in the later part of life is a foolish decision, because in the later part we are not that strong physically. Maybe we are knowledgeable, but that will not work, because knowledge, unless put into practice, has no meaning. So therefore, the purpose of this kind of motivational talks is to make sure students understand that how important these kind of movement is. So that is the reason why we are inviting persons who have already proved their mettle. Like Mayuresh, when you interact with him, you'll come to know his struggle. And the same way you can also struggle, you also prove your worth. That is the purpose for which we arrange this IIC program. So I welcome all of you to this program, and I will also join. I will also try to understand from Mayuresh. Welcome Mayuresh and all the team, all the students to this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Your words always motivates us. So now, moving ahead, I would like to now introduce you to today's speaker, Mr. Mayuresh Lotlikar. So Mayuresh completed his study in law, specializing in intellectual property law. His interest in t-shirt printing, art, and creative field lead him to an idea of his startup UNV Works during his college time. In 2017, he founded Scratch Notes to boost handcrafted stationery products. In 2018, he started a travel stream, Let's Start Adventures, where he arranges treks and offbeat travel experiences. In 2019, he launched India's very first portable miniature pottery tool, TRNV, creating new things, traveling, and expanding scope beyond stereotypes interest him the most. So now we welcome Mayuresh and invite him to give his talk and interact with students. Over to you, Mayuresh.
Sarvana Manapasun Namaskar. Thank you so much, AIKTC, IIC, and IITC for giving this opportunity. Thank you so much, Razak sir and Parag for a wide introduction of the program and myself as well. So here it is. We are going to talk about, I guess, about the innovations and the challenges that entrepreneurs face. I don't want to remark with that I have done something huge, but whatever we have done or whatever we have accomplished today, we would really like to share with you. So before sharing what we have and how we started UNV Works, how we founded UNV Works, and then we struggled to create our own product, which then become India's very first portable pottery equipment. So before that, so let's have a demo of that product itself, so that you will get to know and you will have a kind of interest or kind of a questions that will pop up in your head, so that you can ask. And let's try to make it interactive. If you could ask a couple of questions, then I'll be more inclined towards uh, answering your questions. So here is the TRNV basically. It is why it is called TRNV. It's like it was a turning point of our startup itself. So that's the reason it is called turning wheel or a TRNV. That's what we call. And let me just try and show you what kind of outputs that you can get through this. And Parag sir, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Great. It's a speed controller at the left side of this equipment. And this is a wheel, or wheel in the pottery concept, you can call it as a wheel, or we simply call it a disc. Uh, and then this is a terracotta mud clay, usually available everywhere. So now I'm trying to center this clay right now, so that I can shape it later on. centering is the most hard part at the start itself. Once you center, then it becomes easy. और usually अगर आप पहली बार pottery वगैरह try कर रहे हो, so it takes at least a week to get accustomed with the process. So थोड़ा clay is kind of a part which will not let you shape it very easily. So you have to be steady. In the start itself, it will be a bit wobble, and then eventually it starts centering. Let me tell you fun fact that when we invented this machine, I thought it's going to be easy, and then I'll be able to take out the output as easy as possible. But it really took a while to get accustomed with it and finally master the craft. So right now I'm just doing a basic shape and a collar. So that's all. It's that easy. It seems that easy actually, but at the start itself, we could just let me show you a couple of pieces that we created. Like these were the initial tryouts that we tried to make pots out of this, and it's not that easy. So let me tell you a story, a simple story, because a lot of time people ask me this question: how you came up with the pottery machine, or it's not even your forte. You have studied law. How come you went into such kind of startup? So let me tell you a short story that says that way back when we were kids, our parents took us for the Kalagoda festival. That time, Kalagoda festival was not that commercialized. So we went there and we saw that pottery guy over there, and we tried out that pottery thing with a bigger wheel, and it was so peaceful. Like he held our hand, and with the mud, we could create some small pots. I guess that was a first pottery imprint for us, and that stood with us. But after that, nothing actually could happen much of that. And in the college, when I was in college in 2014, I got a call from one of my cousin asking about, have you read that book called uh, How I Braved Anu Auntie and Co-Founded $1 Million Company? Well, that book is really nice. You can read about it. It is authored by Varun Agarwal, and it's very inspiring story. So he asked me, क्या हम लोग कुछ merchandise के लिए कर सकते हैं क्या? So I said I had a peculiar interest about screen printing and t-shirt printing that time. So I said, yeah, I have tried out a couple of things. So let's begin with it. and then we both jumped in, and me and Akshay just started this company called You and We Works. You and We Works simply means that when you and we come together, it works. So initially it was about money, but then eventually it became about the vision, that vision that we really look after. Uh, that vision says that if you are doing something new, if you're doing something innovative, then that is going to last forever. Then just print t-shirt is not our own product, right? Like we print that t-shirt, that is true, but it is not something that is newly made. It is available, we print those and we send. And Gordon must have had those prints as well. uh, that was a complicated design that we printed, and we really loved it. But eventually we started falling short of this thing, that this is not something for about money, this is something way beyond it. So we need to have something of our own. So in 2017, while I was working, let me, Parag, can I share my screen?
Yes, yes, you can share the screen.
So while I was working in UNV Works workshop in Vasai, I used to play with the grinder. I used to do a lot of woodwork over there. And that's the one picture that I was using a grinder. I had no particular experience in using, but that's in 2017 when we actually started using power drills and power machines. This is our workshop basically. So where we used to do all our trial and errors, or you can say research and development. Uh, eventually in 2017, when there was a time that something clicked into my head, and it's I feel it just because of that uh, early age imprint of pottery. And I called Milind Kavi, one of my cousin who is really innovative. He's one of the DIY inventors, I feel. And I called him. I said, Milinda, तुम्हारा help करशील का pottery machine बनवायला? Can you help me create? And best question that he asked, why you want to do that? Said, it seems very peaceful. I just want to try out, and just I want to make it for myself and nothing else. And he said yes. When he said yes, I got so excited that now he is putting in the efforts. I don't have any technical knowledge of it. Rather, I have asked stupidest question about current, voltage, and torque later on. But and later on also I understood about those techniques. But that moment I had no clue. So I said, "You handle the part. I'll dump in whatever material you want, whatever funding that you need. I'll put into it. But you just make sure that you make it." And so I got so excited, and I went to my nanny's place, and I took a wooden plank and two pillars of wooden small pieces of wooden. I placed one coaster. I drilled that coaster. I mounted some robotics motor. If engineering guys are there, they must be knowing the robotics motor, that is 300 RPM motor that you usually use for RCs. That exactly what I mounted over there. It is a bit noisy, and it does not provide that much of torque that required, and the shaft is pretty much wobbly. So, but still, for a start, it was really nice. So I had no disc or wheel at that time. So what possibly I can mount over the shaft was a wheel of a RC car. So I picked up that RC car wheel and mounted on the shaft, and then to be very frank, as that time we just did with whatever material available. So there was no battery backup. So I used a laptop charger, connected positive negative, and then started the motor. Wheel was pretty wobbly, but I tried to create some pod out of it, and it didn't create the best one,
काफी रुक रहे हैं
but definitely it was worth the shot. I immediately clicked the photos and sent it to Milind, and I said, "This is what exactly we want to do, and you just start working on it." Meanwhile, I also went to Comic Con. I used to go for work for Comic Con as a volunteer for 4 years, and also UNV Works work was happening. The badges, the T-shirt printing, the obstacle race that we always every year organize. Due to COVID, we couldn't. But before that, we used to organize those events. and that was a lot of things happened. So I missed out complete follow-up of that product. And then it was like 2018, nothing happened. And then 2019 उजाडला, something that nothing happened till 2019 as well. So while just going to his place, I started, complaining about it. You didn't help me, Milan. You didn't help me. You didn't help me create pottery machine. I want pottery machine. Can you help me out of it? And what is significant over that meet is that there was another cousin standing next to him named Devrat Patil. I tell you, without Devrat, it wouldn't be possible, seriously. And he said, Tula Nakki banwaisa kya hai? And I said, I want to have a pottery machine. And I don't want to purchase it. I want to make my own for myself. And eventually I clicked something. I said, chota ban chale, chota bhi chalega. I don't want to make bigger one. Even a smaller one is fine for me. That time, portability, charging, anything not in head, completely out of the plan. And he said, we can make this. And so after that, a single hope, I would just say, if you have a single hope possible to catch, ray of hope is possible to catch, just grab it. Positive signs together. There are all negatives around you, and only way to grab a good opportunity is to whatever you have, just grab it and go ahead with it. But I didn't do that. That's true. So I went back home in Vashi, and after 3 days, I got a call from unknown number, and I said, "Hello," and he said, "It's Devrat." Who Devrat? Like, are you your cousin? We met earlier. Ha, right, right. Tell me. So he said, what do you manage to get ahead? Did you order motor? Did you get the wheels and everything? I said, no, I didn't process. I just thought you were just fooling around. And he said, no, just do it. It's a good thing. And and so the best thing one could ever do to get trial and run products is to get it from a neighboring country. That time we were not in war with neighboring country, and not even the pandemic was there. So you can eventually, engineering people know that you can eventually order from Alibaba and AliExpress. So we started ordering a couple of motors, circuits, and everything. And trust me, after 30 odd motors or 30 odd circuits, we just couldn't make the best thing out of it. It just couldn't run. And it was not disappointing that time, because we were still in that hopefulness and energy, getting everything aligned. So it's like you are getting up every day and saying it's a new day, process it. It will happen. It will happen. It's not that like we are not getting the best results, but we are not getting the satisfactory result. One thing that you learn from Apple is that they, and especially from Steve Jobs' philosophy, is that when you are creating product or anything, just think that you are creating it for yourself. So if you are, unless you are not creating it for yourself, you are not going to make it better or best for yourself. There is no one, आपके यहाँ पे कोई भी ऐसा नहीं है जो चाहेगा कि मेरे पास थोड़ा खराब प्रोडक्ट रहेगा तो मेरे लिए चलेगा, नहीं होता है. So you want the best one, you want the utility based, you want artistry based something with you, and that's the reason Apple is successful. And that's the reason I would suggest that while it's not a great product, I won't say that it's best product in the world, but whatever we have created, it stands up to our standards. And that's the reason we opted that philosophy. That philosophy is that कि जो भी बनाना है उसके लिए best बना. So we were not getting that much of result, but we were not happy as well. So we started more our research, and we contacted for the first circuit that we wanted to have is to run motor, charge the battery, and also turn on and off the machine. And so we called a person named Rohan Bukkane, and we asked him to create a circuit. So after a couple of, again, this is a timeline which is limitless. It is going for weeks, and even for a month. So after a month, we got a circuit, and that circuit again did not seem to stand up to our standards, but it also gave us opportunity to understand what we really want. So the circuit was like there was a knob for a charging, there was a switch to turn on and off, and there was also a channel for charging. So this through will make complicated combination for a user or anyone, absolutely anyone. While I'm using, I don't want to use this and that. I'm not doing that. So I just want a single connector or a single regulator where I can turn on or off. The simple example is your ceiling fan. There is a regulator, it turns on, it turns off as well, and also regulates the speed. That exact thing we opted for this thing. And so we again started our research. And then Shreyas Asrekar came into picture. He seemed very much into circuitry and all the electronics. He made his own power bank at that time in 2017 or 18, I guess. So, sorry, 19 and 19 around. So I called him and I said, can you make this happen? Like, this is what I want. So again, he asked, what do you want to make? I said, this is exactly what I want to make. I was pretty skeptical about sharing the project because, yes, it's true that we wanted to be India's very first. And, or I just wanted, by the time we figured out it's not just for us, it might go beyond. So we started saying that if it is going beyond, we should be the first one to do that. So I called Shreyas, and Shreyas agreed to create a couple of the circuits. So he started working, Rohan started working, Devrat started working, me started working. Meanwhile, Milind also started working. And the circuit was getting ready day by day. Again, it's monthly basis. Uh, okay, before I move on to other story, are we attentive? Are we here? Are you listening? Is it interesting or it's a bit boring? Should I take it into a technicality right away? Parag, what do you think?
So I think you can continue. There is no issue.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope everyone is comfortable. मुझे इतना टाइम दिया तो मुझे यूटिलाइज करना ही है, तो मैं बता पाऊंगा कि मैंने क्या फेस किया है. I hope it adds
Yes,
value
yes.
to you.
Yeah, obviously it's about your story, so you can narrate it your way. No issue.
Yeah, thank you. So moving on to the circuitry, circuit was getting ready. Meanwhile, we were bringing in the motors for us and finding the right motor which can produce the right torque to handle whatever pressures that applied during centering. Especially centering is the main crucial part where the pressure gets applied the most. The third part was to get the best power source for this purpose, which was then sorted by Shreyas. Eventually, he suggested a couple of batteries that we can use. And so we opted for that. And the fourth part was the wheel. The wheel, there was not a kind of a product that available. First thing we saw in the market that what can match our requirement. The best part was pulley, and so that we can finish it, cut the pulley at the point where it can become a disc like this, and we can start using it. But due to our shaft size and and lack of technicalities, I feel, or market research, I totally agree to that. I'm not going to miss on that. So we had to dig more and more. So we went to a couple of industries asking this, भैया आप ये बना सकते हो क्या? ये हमें चाहिए. आप ये जो line रहेगा. At that time we had no prototype as such. So we showed like this is wheel and this is on paper or something. And he said, हो सकता है लेकिन बोल नहीं सकते, भरोसा नहीं. So फिर we were not sure that he will be able to make it. So we went on to one, another. And finally we could find Anthony uncle who said, yes, I can. What depth you want, what size of a shaft you want, what kind of the diameter that you want. Seriously, I'm telling you, I didn't know about OD and ID that time. Seriously, I got to know about that OD and ID, inner diameter, outer diameter, while talking to Anthony uncle, and then he said, yes, we'll make it. Yes. Now, once he said yes, he said, get the material. So we had no clue where to get material. का पीस मिलेगा, बोला उधर जाओ आयन वाले के पास, उधर जाओ लोखंड वाले के पास. So we started roaming around. We couldn't find the best thing. I even searched for Taroja. I even went to Mumbai, and then finally we went to Vasai as well. So during that period, we couldn't get that right material. And then we finally opted for MS material, which one of the uncle agreed to cut for in a circular dimension, what it's called, circular shape, exactly circular shape, and give it to us. So he gave us a kind of a raw material, circular shape material, and we gave it to Anthony uncle and said, now just go ahead and do it. He said, okay. It took him months to create that disc. So while disc is getting ready, circuit is getting ready, motors are coming in, we started searching for the casing. Why casing was really important is that everything what fits inside is not being looked by anyone or used by anyone. Whatever is the lookout outside, and you need to have a great feel to it, a great shape to it. And we agreed upon doing a cube shape. That is true that we couldn't do the cube shape later on because of there was a lot of space inside, so that we wanted to make it compact. So we utilized that space and shrink it to a rectangular shape casing. So, but the major part is how we got how we get it done from someone where when the product is not even made anywhere. So the immediate choice again, we started searching what is available in the market. So we searched for something that is rectangular, something that is like metal sheet punched inside, so that making a square or a rectangular shape that we want, and whichever depth we want. The best example is junction box. So we went to see in the industry where a junction box are created, and a junction box particularly has a punch and everything, but they also have holes so that the wires can go inside. Junction box mostly used in electric combinations. I mean electric mounting, basically for a concealed electric mounting. So went there and we asked that guy, can you make this? This is what we want. He said, मला आता वेळ नहीं है, नंतर ये म्हणून. ओके फाइन, लेकिन कल आप मिलोगे क्या? हाँ, कल इतने बजे आएंगे. So next day again we went there. We asked him, can you make this? This is what exactly we want. Yes, definitely. I will make this product, but it will take at least a month, and you have to purchase around 1,000 of them. Like 1,000 एक किधर जाने का है? So I was like, I just want to make one. Can you just make one for us? No. Not one is not possible. Go. So we went to another person. He rejected. Rejected. A lot of people rejected. Even we went to some guy who designs it in 3D and then get it cut by laser and then punch and then make the box out of it. So we went there and he asked us, what do you want to make? Like, this is the dimension. This is the box that we want to make. Could you just help us? So he said, yes, it will cost you 10,000 rupees for designing, and another for each box, it will cost you 1,000 rupees. It was literally out of the budget because it is not a reasonable or a viable negotiation or a viable deal for us to do that box thing at just higher price. So couple of months back, we also tried one more person, but that person was really rude to his employee while creating our box, and I just couldn't handle it. I mean, how can you be rude with your employee? I mean, I totally agree, it's kind of emotional or sensitive point, but I didn't like the way he approached his employee, and so the reason we didn't opted that person who initially made the initial box of it. So we were searching for other people. I tell you, that was the day when we got the most rejection ever. And I asked Devrat that now there's no option. We have to go that person, the root person, basically, and get this project done, or else this project will lapse because everything is lining up, and now we don't have option. He said, okay, fine. If you believe that this is going to work, let's go. It's expensive, it's good, but we have. If you think it's good, then it's your project. So let's go. So while riding the Activa on a turn, while going towards a workshop, I somehow stopped my Activa. I got down and I just started saying that how on earth this is not possible? How on earth this is not possible? This is not rocket science. This is a simple box. I know it needs technicality, but why people are saying no to it? Why they can't just make one for us? And it's really troubling how a startup is going to go ahead like this. How an idea can be processed when there is so much of rejection, and उस फुटपाथ पे and I started crying. I started crying that there's no hope left and we are going to that person just because we don't have option, and that is the last thing that I ever want to do because we don't have option. And while I was crying, I suddenly Devrat came and said, I think we have one more person who does all this alag cheeses, the crazy stuff. So he said we can just try and ask him. Like where he is, and he's like he's in our village only. So we rided like 16 kilometers again back to our village and searched for that person. And I tell you, that's what I'm telling you. If you have a single ray of hope, just grab it and go. You will you will never know what is going to happen ahead. When there, I asked him, like he was a welder, you know. Later on, I came to know that he is GLC dropout, government law college dropout. But before that, I didn't know. So I asked him, "Can you make this?" And like, "What do you want?" Like, this is a box, and do you have press for a metal sheet to press? Like, he showed me a finger, and he showed me some equipment with his finger, and said, "This." I said, "This is like manual press. How it is going to work?" I have seen that time. I have seen all the hydraulic presses and all, so I was not. I was skeptical about it. So I again asked one more question: do we have a chapa? The chapa is a portion which bends the sheet of a patra, sheet of metal, and he said yes. He again showed me that, and I picked it up. I have the picture. This is exactly we want. This is exact dimension, like 4 inch by 4 inch something that we want to have. And he said, yes, so I can only make if you come and join with me, and then only you can assist me, then only I'm going to make it. So I said, yes, finally. Finally, we got a person who can make box for us. And let me share my screen with you. So after this, something like this happened. And then I started assisting him with, this is the box that we drilled. Uh, okay, meanwhile, you can't just keep on working. This is the paramotoring that we did. This is Charlie painted by my brother, and my Nani's house was getting reconstructed. That time I was doing PRNV. These are the boxes. Yeah, these are the boxes. So no one takes Genius Idea seriously. It's very true. No one takes Genius Idea seriously unless and until it is made. So people will ask you, especially my relatives used to ask you, "अरे हे काय खोपड़ा बनवला है, box बनवला है, कधी होणार तुझा project? When your project is going to happen?" Like, रुको अभी होगा तब बताएंगे, अभी तो कुछ बोल नहीं सकते. So I don't used to say much of things. This is something from Comic Con. Okay. Yes, I'll show you that picture again. So these are the this is how we started. Finally we could procure the best box possible. So when the box is ready, you can just start mounting it, right? Start just mounting on your product, right? So we ordered 20 odd motors, and then tried to fix into the box. And let me tell you, it just didn't work. There were like 20 odd motors lying on the floor, and I was just thinking, what just happened? This motor we tested, it's not working right now. So so finally we started research once again, so to get the right box, um, and we could find one. So while searching for this, while the box was ready and the motor was getting coming to our place, the right motor, this box was ready. So I had to polish those metal boxes before it can get painted. This is the first box that you can see of TRNE, and that's exactly which box is here with me. This is the first version of TRNE which we created, and and then this incident happened. I missed a shot and grinder ने मेरा हाथ को पूरा खराब कर दिया. And yes, so this is what exactly happened. I was in a bit of a pain, and then I have to go wash it. I tell you, I have to go wash it, so that we host Ganpati exhibition every year. So in order to help my dad, I had to reach Washi that time. So with that hand, मैंने drive करके मैं घर पे आ गया, and with that single yellow box with me. And just before, we just thought that we will launch this product. Uh, we will just launch this product in a Ganpati festival when Ganpati exhibition, when we will having like 1200 crowd radially available. So I called one of my friends, Vivek Mishra, and I said, and I proudly said, seriously, I don't feel like saying proud, that word. Irfan Khan once said, when you say you are proud of something, you will neglect all that you have achieved or it's been done by you. So I generally don't prefer to say, but I was this box. I mean, there was a team with me and we finally could accomplish what we really wanted. And he saw this box and he said, what are the outputs that you have? So I showed him a couple of outputs that time, like this, you see, and a smaller one that time. And he said, these are not kind of output that people are going to prefer. So you have to have the great outputs like this. These are the kind of good outputs that I could procure later on. So not I could make later on. So Vivek stopped the launch, and it took us one more year. Uh, I also called Pawan to as he has done pottery initially. So I asked him, "Is am I going wrong with the pottery, or am I just not able to make because this wheel is just wobbly?" The wheel was not wobbling. I tell you a fact that before, as I said before, that once the machine is ready, I was pretty confident that I'll be able to make this output, this parts, and I was so wrong. I was so wrong, and then I had practice, and then we could achieve the great output out of it. And that's the whole story about the launch. And then again, we launched with this thing. This is the launch photo that appeared on all the social media by saying that, and this is the same box that we launched. This and after the launch, we went for a this exhibition in Vasai Trade Fair exhibition, where Devrat said to me that people are just going to look at your box and say that "खूप छान बनवलंय, मस्त hai," and nobody's going to buy. So I said, even though people are not going to buy, it's okay. We had to tweak. We made a couple of boxes because there was no one in the industry to make one for us. So we had to tweak this, and finally, I'm satisfied that I have one box. Whatever the investment is, that doesn't matter right now for me, and it's okay. It seems worth. So this is the kind of exhibition, and I was so happy that people were enjoying, not just kids, but even the elderly ones. She came from Mulund and she attended this workshop, and it was really nice. This is the final product you could get. This is Santosh Vasekar, sir. This is where we used to work. This is where the first PRNV is made. He's a really generous person and he really helped me out of it. This is in Haridwar near Ganga banks when we wanted to tell everyone that this is portable. This can be carried anywhere, and this is so the reason to make sure that everyone knows that we can carry it anywhere, we had to take it with ourselves. So we went to Rishikesh, and then in a Haridwar we tried this demo. This is a shadow clay, Ganpati clay. Uh, and meanwhile, when these projects were happening, we used to do a lot of other projects. Like, so it's not that I forgot completely about UNV work. So I used to do this UNV work kind of thing. This is the favorite quote of mine, which is written on my Instagram. You know, check. So this is entrepreneurs celebrate failures. You have to celebrate failures because uh, the famous quote of Albert Einstein, like those who have never failed, never tried. So even though you fail, it's okay. You at least tried for it. And I'm telling you, if you don't give up, you are going to reach the point where dreams come into reality. So you just have to keep working hard, keep working with your instinct, and just keep doing whatever you are doing. and keep searching for the people, those who can help you out with it. As I said, it wouldn't be possible without Devrat Patil making it happen with me. Also, the first casing was a wooden casing, I tell you, was made by Vaibhav, and I was so extremely happy. Even my brother was so extremely supported. And these are the final boxes, which I will come on later. But like this is like 10 minute story later on. But I'll share this. I'll talk about this later. So uh, I want to ask Parag if anyone has a question or anyone wants to interact so that we can talk about it.
Do you want students to ask questions right away?
Sure, 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 sure.
Uh, so if any students want to ask anything, any specific thing regarding his startup or regarding the product as well, you can ask.
यार कुछ भी अगर पूछना है तो पूछ सकते हो. नहीं भी पूछना है तो एक तो पूछ ही लो. So I'll just explain that. While if you come up with a question, you can always ask. I'll stop in between. So once the version 1 was ready, and we were off with all the marketing strategies and all that thing that we wanted to disseminate in front of people, publish as in front of people, COVID thing happened. So we had to get stuck at place, and we didn't know what to do right now. I mean, we couldn't ship, we couldn't procure motors, we couldn't do anything. And one more thing that happened is like we started war. There was a war started against our neighboring country. So there was an anti-China sentiment, rising that moment, and we really agreed upon that term that if we want to go ahead with this, we have to make it made in India. And so the reason we started one more search and one more design finalization started happening. So we contacted UK, Germany people for the motors, and so that we can get the best part or the best motors that we can utilize, we can fix it in our next TRN, and we just couldn't get help. So for reason we started again searching in our home. Yes, in India we started calling other people who are manufacturing. We don't have facilities. We have to agree that we don't have great facilities, but we do have possibilities. So we asked a couple of companies to collaborate and make one right motor for us, and a couple of them agreed to do that. And we also shared the vision that we have, that we want to make it made in India. We want to make it a very less sound and standing up to a certain standard that we can also ship it worldwide. So the company came into a rescue, and they made in India company finally made a TRNV Next. So TRNV Next is a completely made in India product, and which has a very less sound, and that is what matters the most. And it's slightly bigger as well. So this is version 2 of TRNV, and this is version 1 of TRNV. What is significant about version 2 is that it exactly looks like Cube, that as we want it to, and it has a bigger wheel size. It also replaced the MS material of a disc to a premium steel material. It also has a write backup of 4 to 5 hours, and it is very much soundless. So these are all the boxes of this product, and this is the finally a TRNV unvworks.com made in India. We were very happy to engrave this, and we also got a trademark for this TRNV logo, and we also applied for the patent. I hope that that happens, then nothing can really stop us from doing it. This is very sturdy, sturdy products gives you this kind of stunts. Don't try. Yeah. And this is the maximum size you can try to create or make out of it. Yeah, but TRM also coming in. We also opted for the colors. We worked for colors. We wanted to have very funky colors. So we opted bright yellow, classic ivory, skylight blue, and also earth green and bold black as well. So yeah, this is one of the studios in Nashik. Those who are using till today, we have shipped our product across India from Lucknow, Delhi, uh, even in Ratlam, even Pune, Nashik, Nagpur, and we are extremely happy with the output that they are taking out. You can go to our Instagram page and find their work as well in UNV Works, and that's all it is all about. Anything that you can ask would be great. Parag, is there any
Yeah, yeah.
question that you want?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, yeah. So I think Pawan has a question. Yes, go ahead, Pawan.
So, I have known Mayuresh here for the last 15 years, but there is something that really perplexes me about you. That is, you did law. You're professionally speaking a lawyer, and
Yeah.
you're one of the purest lawyers I know because you're neck deep into creativity. How did that happen?
I would just say कि मैंने लॉ एक्सेप्ट किया था दो चीजों की वजह से। एक तो टाइम ऑफ लेक्चर बहुत फ्लेक्सिबल था और तुम कॉलेज को नहीं गए तो भी चलता था। So I used to go for exam. So I have hardly attended 40 or 50 odd lectures in throughout 5 years of my law college. And in 2011 and 12, I was a joint general secretary of student council where we hosted a festival called Velocity. So it's much like while being in law college, I used to be in the creative field itself. So that never separated me from a creative field. But how the pottery thing happened is like I had a personal curiosity about the motor since my childhood. I always used to ask my father, "Can you get that motor? Can you get that 15 rupees motor so that I can do whatever possible?" And seriously, घर पे एक भी सेलोटेप नहीं बचता था. I used to create RCs. I used to create creating all this छोटा चीजें. I tried to make plane out of a thermocol and whatever. It's like childhood experiments I did. I also particularly remember that when my brother used to do science project, I used to bunk my classroom and I used to go and sit into the science lab where he is doing his project, and that is what impressed me the most. So uh, that was in back of the mind, and while I was alone in 2017 working in the workshop, it just clicked. One more thing also clicked that I didn't mention earlier. When I went to Vipassana for 10 days, I met this guy called Pranav, like something smaller, like which can carry. Do you think that this will work? Yes, definitely it will work. And that was the first, like, Pawan, this is the initial stage when someone said yes, it can be done, and I just picked it up and kept in my mind while doing this. So that is how it happened. Still, I lack with the voltage, current, and torque thing. I still try to understand how that works, and that's the reason I have a stupidest question to all the vendors and even Devrat and Milin for that.
Yeah, Mayuresh, first of all, thank you for the different mode of presentation. It's kind of a storytelling. You have narrated all your struggle or the process which have gone through making this product, and it's not just a working model, it's a aesthetically appealing model as well. So congratulate on that as well. So I would like to ask, what is next? You have already uh, achieved this. So are you working on this prototype of the same, scaling it up, or a different product altogether that you are thinking right now?
Yes, definitely. We are working on one more two odd products. One I can mention definitely. Second one is still in the process. So we are well while people are ordering this product, they are always asked, "Can you make a bigger one?" The biggest challenge right now for the bigger one is that to make it soundless. There are machines available in the market. We are not trying to compete with them. We are trying to make again for ourselves. If we like it, we will definitely go into put forward into public. So first of all, we are trying to hit that mark, that a slightly bigger wheel And again, our benchmark will be to make it portable. Uh, Given the wheel size, it's a bit difficult, but we are trying to tackle that. We have coordinated with a lot of companies, Indian companies, so that they can help us out with the right motor or right equipment. And yes, that is lined up. One more project that we are right now, we started working that we try to make a lathe machine. Lathe machine is really crucial. It says mother of all machine, I feel. And the lathe machine, particularly introduced to me by Pawan itself. Uh, and the lathe machine is a super machine. I really, really, really want to try that out. And we are trying to make that, but it's in the pipeline. Um, we get some kind of successful clues, or we could tackle some of the obstacles that we are facing right now.
Yes. Meanwhile, if any other questions is there, we can take those, or any comment if someone wants to add.
Even though people don't ask this question, I just want to put forward one thing. Uh, Reading books help. So Dream with Your Eyes Open by Ronnie Screwvala is really a really amazing book. It talks about the failure that Ronnie Screwvala faced. You must be knowing Ronnie Screwvala. He, he is the founder of UTV and Hangama, and also U Mumbai is his team, I guess. So just try to read that book. It's very nice. And also a Confession of a Creative Mind by Bistone, co-founder of Twitter. It's good. Steve Jobs biography, amazing books. So just try to read. One more book from Devdatta Patnaik is very Indian approach to business management. One thing I surely want to mention for anyone asked this question is that don't aim for a monetary gains out of whatever invention or whatever you're doing right now. Because don't make it a sole aim. I won't say don't keep it an aim, but don't make it a sole aim, because uh, when you pump in a lot of money, you will start thinking when I will recover those. Don't think like that. Be ready to fail, be ready to tackle, and be ready to waste some of the money, because it is not going to happen without it. And don't aim solely for money. Eventually, it will happen. The break even happens. If you make the great product, break even is going to happen. We were sold out in the first month itself, and we are like doing really good with this machine right now, and we're trying to make it really nice and approach more people. And that's what I would suggest. I would say क्योंकि इंडिया में सजेशन बहुत फ्रीली मिलता है, तो मैंने फ्री सजेशन दे दिया.
Thank you, Mayuresh. I think thank you for also accepting our invitation in short period of time as well. So now I think if there are no further questions, then I think we can go ahead with the further program. So now I would like to invite Professor Dr. Firoz Khan to give vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. I, Dr. Firoz Khan, would like to present vote of thanks for this session. Today's session on my story, motivational session by successful innovators, was organized with an objective to motivate our students and faculty to become innovators. We are very much thankful to our President, Dr. Zahir Kazi, Chairman Burhan Harris sir, and Director Dr. Abdul Razak Hanutagi sir for providing full support to organize such events. I thank our resource person, Mr. Mayuresh Lotlikar, for sharing his valuable knowledge and experience with us. I also thank Professor Parag Raul sir, coordinator for this session, and also other IIC members and IIDC members for their support. I thank all participants for their curious response by participating in this online session. I conclude my vote of thanks by providing tribute to Almighty Allah for his blessing to our campus. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I think we can conclude this session now. Thank you, Mayuresh, once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure.